workshop begins. Ms. Mills?
Miles. Thank you, Mayor.
I like Mills.
How do you do? As good as that. Councilmen, members, sorry. You've received the Excel spreadsheet. Did you guys all get a chance to look at that? Okay, good. We'll start with some revenues. So the first part of the sheet is our revenues that we receive from county and state revenue sources. And so I have on here our actuals for 2023, what we've budgeted for 2024, and what we're estimating we'll receive in 2025. In property taxes, we will not get our full 8%. We're only going to get high 6% based off of the preliminary numbers from the county that I've received. We won't know our actual construction roll valuation until around July 22nd. So these are the numbers that we have right now. And so the difference between what we've budgeted in 24 and what we're estimating in 25 is $218,000. If we had gotten our full 8%, that would be $250,000 of new revenue. County roads and bridges, we received $128,000 in 2023. We budgeted $80,000 in this budget, 24. And I have 0 in 25 because Canyon Highway 4 levied they can levy on an A and a B. The A, when they levy on an A, and I can't tell you exactly what that is, I don't know what they levy, but he probably can, Jason. They share with the cities around them. They have to, that levy that they're levying, the city gets 50% of 2% of that amount of money. I know that's complicated, but Caldwell gets a piece of that, we get a piece of that. I believe Napa gets a little piece, and Notice, is it Notice, Jason?
I think Notice
Yeah.
is one with that.
Anyways, as I was going through the budget, I noticed that out of my $80,000 that I had budgeted for this year, I had only received $1,200. So I got a hold of Steve Onafried and I said, hey Steve, did I miss something? Did legislation do something different to where's my money? I'm not getting, I haven't gotten any money yet. And then he did some research, called me back, and he said it's because Canyon Highway 4 didn't levy for it. And they did their B levy, which is they get all the money. So if they had levied A, they share their money with other cities, and if they do levy B, then it's a special thing and they get all the money, and they don't have to share it with anybody. Which I think, hey, if you're a taxing district and you can levy and you need it for something, I'm not against that. The part that I struggle with is that we did not know. We were not told that that was going to happen, and we found out the hard way. And so $80,000 is not coming in 24, and I just really don't know what to do with 25. I'm leaving it 0, but at the same time, I think I should probably put a little something in there, because what if they split? They can levy so much on A and they can levy so much on B. They can split how they levy in these funds that they do. They're very different than us. But anyways, I wouldn't want to. I don't think I want to budget 0, because what if we get something? If we get something, then if I don't budget for it, then we can't spend it. And this is on bridges and bridges, right?
Roads and bridges.
Roads and bridges is what this comes under the county. So Canyon Highway 4 levies for it, and Canyon County gives us the money in our property tax check that we get from them. So that's how that normally works. So that, wanted to bring you guys, let you know that information. And then on our state revenue share, on our sales tax, we're anticipating getting, we got $1,090,783 in 23. We budgeted $1,096,790 in 24. And I'm anticipating $1,037,65 in 25. That is a reduction. Again, legislature moves money around a little. And I think on the bigger cities where they get a lot of money, it's not even really noticed that much, you know, because they just kind of change the way that they split things up. But for us, the bottom line is we're going to get less money in 25. And then on the highway districts, these highway districts give us money for different things. So one section is for maintenance on our roads and streets. Another section is for towards new, and so that's, and these different House bills, and please feel free to look those up. But basically in 23 we got $619,334 between those three funds. In 24 we budgeted $721,541. And in 25, and I get these numbers, AIC sends out a budget manual, and they give us these estimated numbers to put into our budget, and that's pretty much what I go off of. And so in 25, I'm looking at $584,774.
Amy, why the significant decrease from House Bill 362?
Well, because when they did this, the state got extra money in some of those back years, and now that is going away.
That's a significant.
It is. Everything is going away. And so it hurts a little. And then when you have that House Bill 389 on the restricting what we can do with our property tax, when we grow, when we're a small city like we are and we're experiencing growth, but they cap us, you know, at that 8%, then it's very hard for us to be able to pay for the things that it costs. That's why we try to get growth to pay for growth, right? So then on our state liquor distribution, they didn't really give me new numbers in the AIC manual than what I had from last year, and so I'm just going to go with what I budgeted for last year. So in 23 we got 122,000. We budgeted 172 in 24. It looks like we're going to be on track for that, so I'm leaving for 25 at 172. Any questions on this?
So new to the House bill thing, do we have any control over what we can do as a city to increase our allocation relevant to, say, House Bill 312, meaning reserves, things like, I don't know what it is that drives that number on our end? Or is it just arbitrary as to daily operations?
So, you know, the city has to do a road street report annually, and that is given to the highway district. And I understand that the road and street report is something that they use to take to legislature to help legislature understand what cities' needs are. And on our road and street report, there's a section where it says, what are your projects for now? And I don't know anything more, to answer your question, I don't know anything more that the city can do right now that we're not already doing. So on our road and street reports, you know, that it wants to know how did you spend the money that you got for the previous year in maintenance? Well, we've always spent more than what we've gotten in maintenance, right? And what new roads have you done? And we've always are trying to input or upgrade our roads or putting in new roads.
I don't know that any agency looks too close at that road and streets report. The bottom line is we aren't going to be able to affect the state's highway distribution. Those are all state funds. Those three things, which is largely the gas tax, and it's some federal money that gets pushed down. It gets kind of traded around so that it doesn't have the federal stuff, and then it gets distributed out to the agencies. The key point maybe to take away, or the one thing that we have the most control of, is the formula by which all that state money gets distributed. They take a chunk chunk and give it to ITD. And then they take the other chunk and they divide it. They give one into two chunks again, one to the highway districts and one to all the cities. The highway districts get divided out by how much lane miles each highway district maintains. So in that road and street report, there's a little spot where they update how many miles that they've added and how many miles they've taken away, and so the state has a good accounting of those miles, because that's how the highway districts get their money. Cities get their proportion independent of miles. Their proportion is divided out strictly by population. They only get a chunk or two, but the only real factor that divides out is population. So as our population increases, we will, maybe as our population increases faster than other cities, we may get a slight increase in that distribution of state monies, but probably not something we could actively control by.
So in other words, it is what it is.
Kind of is what it is.
And to correct Jason, I do believe that road and street report is looked at. I would hate to think that we go through all that work and nobody's looking at it. I want it, so that's that.
It is a lot of work.
But on that point too, I believe with Canyon Highway 4 district, they're wanting us to take over more of their roads, right?
Yes.
So
They have a memorandum of understanding update that they have. We have an agreement with Canyon Highway that talks about how we will adjust roads between us. As subdivisions come in, the road that was a county road now will have a city subdivision and maybe encompass on both sides by a city. That agreement was written several years ago, and we haven't actively met with them in quite a while to balance, to kind of square up on our roads. So it's not they're currently maintaining a lot of our roads that are adjacent to city development. Again, they benefit from having more roads in their inventory, so moving some roads out doesn't necessarily help them. And we benefit from having people, not roads, so moving roads in doesn't really benefit us. So nobody's been in a real hurry to get this fixed, and we've got enough roads to maintain with the ones we've got. We're not really anxious to take some in. So but in reality, we should probably be updating this agreement and adjusting some roads, because we just have to sit.
and then we would add those to our road and street report, which would increase our.
No,
No?
we don't benefit.
Just our liability.
So they have a proposed memorandum of understanding. They have been working through this with Napa and got Napa's concurrence late last year. Caldwell is in the final stages of reviewing this proposed memorandum of understanding with Highway District 4. And they sent the document over to us and asked for our input into this. They're probably, it's been sitting on my desk for 6 months now, and I just haven't.
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay. That I just haven't taken time to bring it to council, and we just had other things to work on. I might suggest we might consider a negotiation attempt to specify that they will levy for the general levy before the special levy in future years, so that we can get that $100,000 of revenue back. I'm not sure how successful that would be. Caldwell may consider a similar approach, and we may want to do something similar with it, but that's, I could get direction at a council meeting someday in the future if you wanted to go that route.
Well, that's a very insightful discussion. I appreciate that, but just looking at the bottom line, that's a pretty fair reduction in revenue for.
100,000 for us. Caldwell is about 500,000.
So everybody's experiencing pretty much the same thing. Andrew?
Councilman Brady.
I think everybody was there except Rob, but I want to remind people that Compass is exploring the possibility of a local option registration fee, which wouldn't make a giant difference for us. I think it would come out to like, if my memory serves, which it doesn't always, something like $67,000 based on our population size. But there are different options for how that money would get dispersed, but it seems like most people right now are leaning towards the population model. So it wouldn't be a huge boon, but it would be something.
Could be maybe something.
Well,
Yeah.
I made the proposal, I don't know if it's gonna stick, that rather than doling it out piecemeal to different cities, that a board be created, all the monies go to one place, and then cities and highway districts can apply to that board with full projects to be funded in their entirety. But if that even moves forward, potentially in a year, 2, 3, that's a little bit more money in your pot.
That could hurt us.
Yeah, that could hurt.
What?
If they stop giving the cities money? and
No,
just-
no, no, this is an additional tax.
This would be a car
Oh.
tax.
Well, this
Car
is
tax.
registration increase on your
Oh,
vehicle.
okay.
But if they, well, I don't know, I have to see all the,
It's money we don't already get, so it wouldn't change our
Okay.
bottom line.
Oh, okay.
I think the problem basically is that electric vehicles don't use gas, so they don't pay gas tax.
Well,
Actually, I
Actually,
think,
They
I
still
think in
use
the
the road.
registration, they have a surcharge for electric vehicles that take and factor that in there, so
On
there
registration.
is something in there, but it is kind of an overall problem that the cars are getting more fuel efficient. The gas tax isn't a percentage of the gas price, it's a set amount per gallon, so.
which hasn't been changed since like 1993. Meanwhile, there's more cars on the road, but they're
Right.
using less gas than ever. So yeah, the income.
And
I thought they raised it 7 cents.
construction prices are going up too, so there are challenges with the overall funding of transportation that are not likely solved in this room. But
Thank you. So now if we move down to our other revenue sources, which is building permits and connections, and these all have to do with growth, right? And so in 2023, we received 175 permits, brought in $776,738. In 2024, we only budgeted for 100 permits. We were nervous at the time that we were going through budgeting processes with what was going on with growth in the city, right? And so we were being very conservative, and we have already well surpassed that number in 2024. And so with talking with our new building inspector, he has said that we should definitely budget for, he gave me 320 for next year, but I'm trying to be a little conservative again, go with 310 as my number. And that will bring in $1,390,000 and $1,390,350. I can say numbers correctly. And so the delta between 24 and 25 is $990,250, which is a large increase. Manual J's is an inspection, electrical inspection that is a pass-through, and so we just don't budget for that there. And then for electrical inspections, so with our inspections, so the city recognizes 100% of the revenue, and then we pay to our inspectors 60% of that revenue that we earn. So in 23, the actual was $95,424. In electrical for 24, we budgeted $84,296. In 2025, we're budgeting $128,396. Again, that's geared with what is going on. So with under budgeting in 2024 and then having way more come in, clearly they work with each other, right? So here I have a lot of extra revenue in 24, and I have a lot of additional expense in the inspector's fees. And so when I come to you with our budget amendment, you will see these lines adjusted if they need to be by the time we get to the point where we're looking at the budget to what we're going to amend. If I can squeeze it through without having to amend those lines, then we will, but if it looks like it's going upside down, we'll have to amend. Recognize the revenue, recognize the expense. Same with the plumbing and mechanical. These are all our inspectors. So actuals for plumbing was $67,412, budgeted $56,000 in this year, and next year we're budgeting $102,162. And so I don't know if you want me to read you all of these numbers. Public works inspections, I'm going to just kind of skip mechanical. You guys can all see that. This is at 50% goes into each water and sewer. It's a small fee that we charge. And so with the additional building permits, it's $8,000 in 2025 versus the $2,500 in 24. Water connection fees, those will go up based on housing and what's coming in. So in 25, we're looking at $1,387,724, up $961,000 from 24's budget. Same with sewer connections. Those all things will increase based on what that looks like. And so if I go to my residential building permits tab, this is where those formulas are sitting and how they come into that number. So with our fees, so our water connection fees, so in our fee structure, we're looking at increasing that connection fee. So I'm going to switch over here to this, to our fees. And so currently we charge $4,263.30 per connection. And if we increase with our 5%, that goes to $4,476. So that's what drives this number to the 1.3.
With the 5% increase?
With the 5% increase.
Okay.
Okay, so now you guys get to say whether that's going to be 5% or whether you want that to be something else. And I believe that when we had our special meeting where we went over those rates, I think that was going to be an area that you look at. Now, I don't know if you're going to look at the connection fees or if you're just going to look at the actual usage fees that you might want to reduce in water to make up for sewer, or what you're going to do in sewer. That's why we have these budget workshops, so that you can give me direction, so that I can change these numbers and then work the budget based on the direction that you give.
So recalling our sewer connection fee there on that line.
Yeah, do I need to make this a little bigger? Let me see if I can make this a
Well,
little bigger.
the $7,000 one, remember that's what is in place now. Our general operating procedures at 5% fee increases is what we're allowed without public hearings. But we are getting a report that's showing that our sewer connection fees could be up to $15,000 based on the work we've done to reassess how those are calculated, and that's very supportable through the work that FCS Group is doing.
I thought it was 11 or 12, Jason. Isn't that what?
We can support up to 15. What she's concerned about is that if we went right to 15 and we got a lot of improvements done that were paid for with loans and some other, the way the formula works, the formula could recalculate within 3 or 4 years to where the most you could support would be an $11,000 or $12,000 fee. So she was suggesting at the meeting that we take an $11,000 or $12,000 fee instead of the full 15 to prevent us from any kind of roller coastering on this fee.
That's right.
One thing I talked to her about the next day, I kind of thought of this on the way home that night, was building permit fee time. And we don't have that impact fee ready to apply today. That would require a study for about a year next year so that we could implement it potentially for the 26th budget. That would be paying really for growth, paying for growth. Right now, growth is paying for the part of the system that's already been built for them. Okay. If we moved our connection fee up to the $15,000 level now, that would give us room in 2 years or a year and a half when we look at impact fee to potentially bring the connection fee